Commander Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Luna Station, watching Earth's blue marble spin slowly against the star-filled void. The sight that had once filled her with wonder now carried the weight of impending doom. 3 days ago, the message had arrived through every communication channel simultaneously, broadcast in perfect translations across every human language. The Galactic Dominion had spoken, and their words echoed in Sarah's mind like a death sentence. Humanity had exactly 72 hours to surrender unconditionally, dismantle their military forces, and submit to galactic law. The alternative was complete annihilation. "Ma'am, the President is requesting an immediate briefing." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice cracked slightly as he delivered the message. Sarah could see the fear in his young eyes. The same terror that gripped every human who understood what they faced. The Galactic Dominion controlled over 10,000 star systems, wielding technology that made humanity's greatest achievements look like stone tools. Their fleet commanders had crushed rebellions across the galaxy for millennia, leaving behind nothing but cosmic dust and cautionary tales. Earth was not the first world to receive this ultimatum, and history suggested it would not be the last to burn. Sarah made her way through Luna Station's corridors, past scientists frantically working on impossible equations, and soldiers preparing for a war they could not win. The emergency session in the Situation Room buzzed with desperate energy as Earth's leaders gathered via holographic projection from around the world. President Martinez looked haggard, her usually perfect composure cracking under the pressure. "Commander Chen, what's our military assessment?" Sarah activated the tactical display, showing Earth's defensive capabilities in stark red against the vastness of space. "We have 347 active warships, 12 orbital defense platforms, and approximately 2 million active military personnel across all branches." She paused, letting the numbers sink in. "Intelligence suggests the Dominion fleet approaching our system contains over 50,000 vessels, each one capable of glassing a continent." The silence that followed was deafening. General Morrison, his weathered face grim, spoke first. "What about the prototype weapons? The quantum torpedoes? The antimatter charges?" "Untested and insufficient," Sarah replied honestly. "Our most optimistic projections give us a 12% chance of destroying even one of their smaller escort ships." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Earth's leading xenobiologist, leaned forward. "Perhaps we're approaching this wrong. The Dominion's message mentioned galactic law. There might be protocols, legal frameworks we can exploit." "They've given us surrender or death," President Martinez said flatly. "I don't see much room for legal maneuvering." Sarah pulled up the intercepted communications they'd managed to decode. "Actually, there might be something. The Dominion follows strict hierarchical protocols. Every conquered species becomes part of their empire, but they maintain detailed records of resistance capabilities. Species that prove particularly troublesome are granted certain considerations." "You're talking about making them respect us through violence," General Morrison said, a hint of approval in his voice. "I'm talking about survival," Sarah corrected. "If we roll over and die quietly, we're just another footnote in their conquest records. But if we make them bleed, if we prove that humanity costs more than it's worth to subdue completely, we might negotiate better terms for our surrender." The debate that followed stretched for hours, voices rising and falling as humanity's leaders grappled with an impossible choice. Some argued for immediate surrender, hoping the Dominion's mercy might spare civilian populations. Others called for a fighting withdrawal to the outer colonies, abandoning Earth but preserving the species. Sarah found herself thinking of her daughter Emma, safe in the Mars colonies, and her sister's family in New Shanghai. What kind of galaxy would they inherit? One where humanity crawled on its belly, or one where humans were remembered as the species that refused to go quietly into the dark? As dawn broke over Earth's surface, Visible through the station's massive viewports, the decision was made. Humanity would not surrender without a fight, but neither would they throw away lives in futile gestures. Every hour bought with human blood would be used to evacuate civilians, preserve knowledge, and prepare hidden colonies for the long struggle ahead. Sarah watched the first transport ships launch from Earth's surface, carrying children and scientists to distant safe havens. The irony wasn't lost on her that humanity's greatest hope lay in running away, even as they prepared to stand and fight. The Dominion's advanced scouts appeared at the edge of the solar system 18 hours ahead of schedule, their massive forms blotting out stars as they approached. Each ship was a work of art and terror, sleek organic curves fused with crystalline technology that pulsed with alien energies. Humanity's telescopes captured images that would be studied for generations, assuming anyone survived to study them. "Signal from the lead vessel," Communications Officer Kim announced. "They're demanding immediate surrender and threatening to begin bombardment of population centers." Sarah activated the system-wide broadcast, her voice carrying to every human installation from Mercury's mining platforms to Neptune's research stations. "This is Commander S Fleet Admiral Vexithara of the Dominion 3rd Armada, had conquered 47 systems in her 3-century career. The routine had become almost mundane. Arrive with overwhelming force, demand surrender, accept submission, or deliver annihilation. The species called humans should have been no different from the countless others who had bowed before Dominion might. Yet, as her flagship, Eternal Subjugation, pierced the heliopause of the Sol system, Vexthara found herself studying the tactical displays with growing confusion. The humans weren't running. They weren't surrendering. Instead, they were doing something that defied all logic and experience. They were attacking. "Fleet Commander," her tactical officer Zardan hissed through mandibles that clicked nervously. "The primitive vessels are accelerating directly toward our formation. Their weapon signatures suggest chemical explosives and basic energy projectors." Vexithara's 4 eyes focused on the display showing humanity's pathetic fleet. 300 ships against her armada of 50,000 was not a battle, it was pest control. Yet something about their formation patterns nagged at her military instincts. "Scan their vessels for quantum destabilization signatures," she ordered. "No species this primitive should possess faster-than-light capability, yet here they are." The first human vessel to reach weapons range was a destroyer called HMS Defiance. Captain Rebecca Walsh had volunteered for the suicide mission, knowing her ship's experimental antimatter warheads might punch through Dominion shielding if delivered at point-blank range. Her crew of 43 had said their goodbyes and sealed their fates the moment they accepted the assignment. "Target the largest ship," Walsh commanded as alien energy beams began tearing through space around them. "All power to forward shields, ramming speed." The Defiance screamed through the void, her hull plating glowing cherry red from near misses. Dominion weapons that could vaporize asteroids scored her armor, but the ship held together through engineering miracles and desperate improvisation. At 500 meters from the enemy flagship's hull, Walsh triggered the detonation sequence. The antimatter explosion that consumed the Defiance and carved a crater the size of Manhattan into the Dominion flagship sent shockwaves through both fleets. Aboard the Eternal Subjugation, Vexithara felt her ship shudder and watched in disbelief as damage reports flooded her screens. "How?" she demanded. "How did their primitive weapons penetrate our barriers?" "Unknown, Fleet Commander," Zardan replied, his voice tight with something that might have been fear. "The energy signature was unlike anything in our databases. They somehow contained and weaponized pure antimatter without stabilization fields." What Vexithara couldn't know was that humanity's breakthrough had come from desperation and ignorance rather than advanced science. Dr. Elena Vasquez had discovered that human-manufactured antimatter, created in Earth's particle accelerators, existed in a quantum state that interacted strangely with Dominion force field technology. The aliens' own sophisticated shielding systems, designed to deflect known energy weapons, became vulnerable to humanity's crude but unpredictable approach. Across the battle space, similar scenes played out as human vessels threw themselves against the Dominion fleet. The heavy cruiser, Beijing, lasted 30 seconds longer than predicted, her crew manually overloading her fusion reactors to create a chain reaction that damaged 3 enemy vessels. The carrier, Enterprise, launched her fighters in a swarm attack that confused Dominion targeting systems designed to track more sophisticated threats. Captain Martinez piloted his fighter, Spirit of Guadalajara, through a debris field that had once been the battleship Admiral Nelson, using the wreckage as cover while he stalked a Dominion corvette. His targeting computer had failed 10 minutes ago, forcing him to rely on visual tracking and instinct. The irony that humanity's most advanced pilot was reduced to World War II tactics was not lost on him as he lined up his attack run. "For Earth," he whispered, triggering his remaining missiles at point-blank range. The Dominion corvette's shields collapsed under the unexpected assault angle, and Martinez's weapons tore through alien armor like paper. The enemy ship broke apart in a cascade of secondary explosions, adding another impossible victory to humanity's growing tally. On Luna Station, Sarah Chen watched the tactical display with a mixture of pride and horror. Humanity was losing ships faster than she could count, but the impossible was happening. The Dominion fleet was taking damage, real damage, for the first time in centuries. More importantly, they were being forced to adapt their tactics to counter threats they had never encountered. "Signal from the Moscow," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported. "Captain Petrov says his engineering team has figured out how to overload their particle beam array. He's requesting permission to engage the enemy command ship." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, knowing she was sending another crew to their deaths. "Permission granted. Godspeed, Moscow." The heavy cruiser, Moscow, had been Earth's pride, her experimental weapons systems representing humanity's most advanced military technology. Under Captain Dmitry Petrov's command, she had become something more, a symbol of human defiance against impossible odds. Her crew of 800 had volunteered to stay aboard when offered evacuation, choosing to fight rather than flee. "All hands, this is the captain," Petrov announced over the ship's communications. "Today we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten Earth. Today we prove that humanity bows to no one." The Moscow accelerated toward the Dominion command ship, her overcharged weapons systems casting an eerie blue glow through the darkness. Enemy fire converged on her from dozens of vessels, but her captain had plotted a course through the debris field that used destroyed ships as cover. The wreckage of human vessels, still glowing from their own noble sacrifices, provided the Moscow with a path to glory. As Petrov's ship closed to optimal firing range, her particle beam array unleashed everything humanity had learned about directed energy weapons. The overloaded systems burned out instantly, but not before sending a lance of pure destruction across space. The beam struck the Dominion command ship's sensor array, blinding the alien fleet's coordination systems. Vexithara felt her ship rock under the impact and watched in amazement as her tactical displays went dark. In 3 centuries of warfare, no enemy had managed to damage her flagship's primary systems. These humans were proving more troublesome than entire civilizations that had resisted for decades. "Damage report," she commanded. "Primary sensors offline. Secondary arrays operating at 60% efficiency," Zardan reported. "The human weapon appears to have been specifically calibrated to our frequency harmonics." This was partially true, though not by design. Dr. Sarah Kim, working frantically in Earth's secret weapons laboratory, had discovered that Dominion sensors operated on quantum frequencies similar to human brain waves. Her breakthrough had come not from understanding alien technology, but from recognizing patterns in her own neural activity while under extreme stress. The battle raged for 6 hours, humanity's desperate courage wearing down Dominion superiority through sheer bloody-minded determination. By the time the last human V-Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Titan Base, humanity's last major stronghold, watching as Dominion forces prepared for their final assault on the solar system. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Earth's orbit, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. Reports flooded in from across known space of something unprecedented: rebellion. The Kethron Confederacy had declared independence from Dominion rule. The Zixthali mining worlds had stopped sending tribute shipments. Even the ancient Veltar Empire, subjugated for over a millennium, had begun organizing resistance cells. Humanity's desperate last stand had lit a fire that was spreading faster than the Dominion could contain. "Incoming transmission from Fleet Admiral Vexathara," Communications Officer Torres announced. "She's requesting a direct line with you, Admiral." Sarah straightened her uniform and activated the holographic projector. The alien commander who materialized before her was impressive even by galactic standards, her 4 arms ending in razor-sharp appendages that could tear through steel. But there was something different in her posture, a wariness that hadn't been there before. "Admiral Chen," Vexathara began, her translator rendering the alien words in clipped, precise English. "I offer you one final opportunity for surrender. Your resistance has cost both our species greatly." "Has it?" Sarah replied calmly. "From our perspective, we've given the galaxy something it had forgotten existed: hope." The alien admiral's mandibles clicked in what might have been frustration. "Your species has infected 17 star systems with the delusion of possible resistance. This cannot be allowed to continue." Sarah smiled, a cold expression that didn't reach her eyes. "That's the thing about hope, Admiral. Once it spreads, it's impossible to contain. You taught the galaxy to fear you through overwhelming force. We're teaching them something else entirely." What neither commander spoke aloud was the transformation occurring within humanity itself. The survivors of the orbital battle had returned to Earth with stories that defied belief, tales of human ships punching above their weight through pure determination and innovative thinking. Dr. Elena Vasquez had established manufacturing facilities on 12 different worlds, each one producing antimatter weapons based on her breakthrough discoveries. More importantly, humanity had begun to understand their unique position in the galaxy. While other species had evolved on worlds with predictable dangers, Earth's chaotic environment had produced something unprecedented, a species that thrived under impossible pressure. Humans didn't just adapt to adversity, they excelled because of it. Captain James Mueller commanded the stealth ship Shadow of Terra, one of 50 such vessels hidden throughout the outer system. His mission was simple in concept, but complex in execution: demonstrate to the galaxy that humanity could not be conquered, only contained. His ship, barely larger than a Dominion fighter, carried enough firepower to level a city. "Target acquired," his navigator Lieutenant Park announced. "Dominion supply convoy, 6 vessels, minimal escort." Mueller studied the tactical display, noting the convoy's route through the asteroid belt. The aliens had grown complacent, assuming their overwhelming numbers had eliminated any threat from human forces. They were about to learn otherwise. "All hands, this is the captain," Mueller announced to his crew of 12. "Today we remind the Dominion that Earth's children are still fighting. Execute Plan Delta." The Shadow of Terra emerged from the asteroid field like a wraith, her stealth systems allowing her to approach within weapons range undetected. Mueller's crew had trained for this moment for months, practicing coordinated strikes that would maximize damage while minimizing their exposure to enemy fire. The attack was over in 30 seconds. 6 precisely placed antimatter torpedoes turned the Dominion convoy into expanding clouds of superheated gas, while the Shadow of Terra disappeared back into the asteroid field before the escort ships could react. The psychological impact was immediate and devastating. Nowhere in the solar system was safe from human retaliation. Similar attacks occurred across the galaxy as humanity's hidden colonies revealed themselves. The Mars underground had established contact with the rebel factions, providing them with weapons technology and tactical advice. Earth's children had become the galaxy's teachers, showing oppressed species how to fight back against their oppressors. On the Kethran homeworld, Captain Lisa Rodriguez worked with local resistance leaders to plan coordinated strikes against Dominion installations. Her background in special operations had proven invaluable in training alien fighters who had forgotten how to resist centuries of subjugation. "The key is not to win battles," she explained to the assembled Kethran commanders. "The key is to make occupation too expensive to maintain. Every Dominion soldier they send to hunt us is one less soldier they can use to conquer new worlds." The Kethran had initially been skeptical of human tactical doctrine, viewing it as crude and unsophisticated compared to traditional galactic warfare. But as their hit-and-run attacks began bleeding Dominion forces dry, they started to understand the elegance of humanity's approach. It wasn't about advanced technology or superior firepower, it was about making the cost of oppression unbearable. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Vexithara faced a strategic nightmare that was growing worse by the day. Her forces controlled Earth's orbital space, but they couldn't land troops without facing constant guerrilla attacks from the surface. Human resistance cells had established themselves in every major city, turning the planet into a death trap for occupation forces. "Fleet Commander," her intelligence officer reported, "we've lost contact with the garrison on Europa base. Preliminary scans suggest complete destruction of the facility." Vexithara's 4 eyes focused on the tactical display showing the Jovian system. Europa base had been considered impregnable, protected by overlapping force fields and automated defense systems. The humans had somehow penetrated those defenses and eliminated 3,000 Dominion troops without triggering a single alarm. What she didn't know was that the attack had been carried out by a joint human-Veltar strike team, using knowledge gained from a defecting Dominion engineer. The galaxy's oppressed species were learning to work together, sharing intelligence and resources in ways that undermined centuries of Dominion divide-and-conquer tactics. The final confrontation came not through military action, but through something far more dangerous: politics. The Galactic Council, a ceremonial body that the Dominion had maintained for legitimacy purposes, suddenly found its voice as member species demanded an accounting for the prolonged war against humanity. Ambassador Keiko Tanaka represented Earth at the emergency session, her presence marking the first time in galactic history that a non-conquered species had addressed the Council. Her words would be recorded and transmitted across 10,000 worlds, reaching species that had forgotten they had ever been free. "Honorable delegates," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber, "you face a simple choice. You can continue to accept the Dominion's assurance that resistance is futile, or you can join humanity in proving that freedom is possible." The debates that followed lasted for days, but the outcome was inevitable. Species after species declared their intention to withdraw from Dominion protection, establishing defensive alliances with Earth's colonies. The galaxy's political landscape was reshaping itself around a simple human concept: the right to self-determination. Admiral Vexithara received her new orders as the council session concluded. The Dominion was withdrawing from the Sol system, not because they had been militarily defeated, but because the cost of occupation had become politically untenable. Humanity had won not through superior firepower, but through superior will. "Signal the human commander," she ordered her communications officer. Inform Admiral Chen that the Dominion recognizes Earth's sovereignty and independence. Sarah Chen received the message while standing on the observation deck where this had all begun, watching Earth's blue marble spin against the stars. The planet bore scars from the conflict, but it remained unconquered. More importantly, it had become something new, the symbol of galactic freedom. As Dominion forces withdrew from the solar system, human ships began emerging from hiding places throughout the galaxy. They carried with them not just weapons and technology, but something far more powerful, the knowledge that even the mightiest empire could be challenged by those brave enough to stand up and fight. The galaxy would never be the same, and somewhere in the depths of space, other oppressed species looked up at the stars and whispered a single word that would reshape the cosmos. Humanity. Essel fell silent. Vexithara's mighty armada had suffered losses that would have been unthinkable against any other species. 200 Dominion ships damaged, 37 destroyed, and thousands of alien crew members dead. But more than the physical damage, something else had changed. As reports filtered back through Dominion communication networks, word spread of the species that had made the mighty Third Armada bleed. Humanity had lost the battle but won something far more valuable, the galaxy's attention, Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. To all ships and stations, execute Protocol 7. Make them remember us. Across the solar system, humanity's modest fleet began its desperate gambit. Not to win, for that was impossible, but to buy time and exact a price that would echo through the galaxy. The first shots fired in humanity's war for survival blazed across the darkness, and Sarah Chen watched as her species took its first steps toward becoming something the galaxy had never seen before.